Hey y'all, and welcome to the June wrap-up. Oh my goodness, was June a month. There was so much happening in June. Kids getting out of school, having to go to reading camp, summer camp, my husband recovering from his surgery. So I did not get a lot read in June. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Morgan. That might be a lot to unload at the beginning of the video. I hope you'll stick around though to talk about the 11 books that I managed to read in June. And that you enjoy this video and maybe check out my Instagram or some of my other videos to see if you like it and want to subscribe. So for my June stack, this is all I got. Everything else came from the library, went to the library, went, I don't know why I said it like that. But for the breakdown though, let's see, we had 2 4.25 stars, 2 4 stars, 3 3.5, so most stuff was middle of the road, 1 3.25, and 1 3 stars. And then the formats, we had the 3 audiobooks, 2 ebooks, 1 physical, like only physical, and 3 mixed, which was physical audio mix. All right, let's start with the best books and go downwards, I guess. From there, the first one I guess would be the best read of the month was The Poison Song by Jenn Williams at 4.25 stars, right? Brain slippage. Okay, this is the conclusion to the Winnowing Flame trilogy. I'm mostly happy with it. I do feel like it dragged on a little bit, just a little bit, and the end, like how they ended all the battles to kind of like move them into the next age, you would say with most books, right? Why did that character have to go through that and this other character just get to go on? Can't say that much. The Winnowing Flame trilogy takes place on the world of Sarn. On this world, they have constantly come under attack by a species called the Durillia. They are kind of like gross worm people, bug people. They call them the worm people, but they release other bug sort things, sounding things too. And when they have always attacked before in the past over like centuries, and there's always like a kind of a gap between all of the attacks, which they call reigns. And there's always centuries in between. But between the 8th reign previously and then the 9th reign, that's just the start of this series, the warriors race that would normally go out and fight them, at the end of the 8th reign, their tree god did something. He sacrificed himself and went dormant. And because of this, he stopped providing this life-giving substance to these warrior peoples. And so they started to kind of die off. And now in the 9th reign, there are very few of them left. And the creatures like this, the war beasts that they would ride into battle, that would always be born from the tree god at the start of the reign, there are very few of them that were able to actually be born this time. So thus the world is on the brink of utter annihilation. And also because it has been, gosh, how many centuries was it? I almost want to say like 3 or 4 centuries between the 8th and the 9th reign, and because of most of the species, the Abhorrents have died off, that they don't really know anything much about the Durillia anymore. They don't know how they fought them off. They don't know the signs of their coming. They have no real hope. But in the first book, which is called The 9th Reign, our main characters are an Abhorrian warrior who left his homeland because he didn't want to be surrounded by the death of all of the people there, and an archaeologist who is obsessed with the Durillia and wants to find out their secrets and wants to find out everything about them, and a Fell Witch, which is a woman who can control pretty much life energy. Like she'll take life energy and use it to produce green flames. Which of course there is a religion that is on Sarn that says these people are unholy and locks these women up in a very wet prison. And our main character, Noon, has escaped from there, and she runs into the other 2 and they kind of take her in and they fight to survive in the wilderness and find out everything they can about the Durillia because they feel that something is coming, that they know that the Durillia will come back again. And thus the trilogy happens, and it's mostly always centered around those 3, though we do start to get other characters and POVs sprinkled in as events unfold. Okay, I talked long enough about this one probably. Yes. The other 4.25 would be The Curse of Saints by Kate Dramas. This is the first one in a new fantasy series. It's adult fantasy romance kind of. In this one, we are following our main character Aya, who is one of the 3 elite Daimira of the queen in her land. They are all gifted with powers. Each one has a different one, and she is the queen's spy master as well. When something happens though, she displays this immense amount of power that has not been seen in 500 years since this big battle of good and evil with the separation of the gods and stuff. And so she is tasked with trying to figure out her powers and work with the other of the queen's trio, who she absolutely hates, and gather information and find out more about herself. I did a review for this one. I hope it turned out well. I have not edited it together yet, so I don't know, but you can find more information about this book here, so I won't talk about it here and make this video even longer than it might end up being. On to our 4-star reads. This would be book 5, right? Yes, book 5 in the Dresden series, which is Death Mask by Jen Butcher. In this one, we are following our resident wizard of Chicago, who is an active wizard for hire for various needs of magicaliness, as he is going up against supernatural forces. I don't think I can say much about it, crap, and I can't remember how much about the first book to say. He works with the police to help solve supernaturally cases, I believe. More so in the first one, he's called in against what looks to be acts of rogue wizardry, at the same time being followed around by a knight of the cross, maybe? No. A knight of something, who is a holy knight, but is also tasked by the White Council of Wizards to watch Dresden, because he feels that Dresden is going to be a problem and he is going to start, like, expose things and just do illegal magic. So everywhere he's going in the first book, Michael is following him around as he's trying to point out, hey, this guy is the evil, not me. And they form this quasi-friendship, as, you know, Michael only still barely trusts him. He's still, for the first several books, he is still thinking Harry is just bad. But yeah, that was interesting. So far, Death Mask is still getting better. I was very sad for Harry though. He was doing much better mentally in this book. Much better mentally. But I'm still sad for Harry and how things had to turn out. That was not a great description. But the next book, that was also 4 stars, was A Court of Silver Flames, which is also the 5th book in the ACOTAR series. This one is from Nesta's perspective, which everybody I think kind of bashes on. Or bashes on the way Feyre and Rhys are portrayed as in this one, as opposed to, you know, when it's always through Feyre's eyes. I didn't dislike it. I don't think it was quite as bad as what everybody had led me to believe with how she saw it. Of course her and Rhys are gonna have problems. Nesta is uber strong-willed and doesn't want to bow to anybody, and everybody's gonna only see her though as the way she was when Feyre, you know, first started in the series and what they had to go through. And Nesta's biggest health problem, biggest mental health, because she is in her head, and like if you've read any of the other ones and you know how, you know, she was drinking and like degenerateness and everything. And it's all because she hates herself. Because she thinks she should have been able to save people with those powers she was given. She's like, why? Which in the end, you know, it is the powers instead of... And because I've already read, you know, the Crescent City series, oh my goodness, there was some sprinklings there towards the end, and I'm like, I don't know if I would have picked this up if I hadn't already read those. So cool. Cool, I'm glad. I am so glad. So overall, I liked it. I mean, still, I don't know that I would care to read from Nesta again. She was alright, and I mean, there was, the way people bash it, I just don't understand. It wasn't that bad. And they're like, oh yeah, she just needs to exercise the mental. You're putting down how much that actually does help your mental health in that scenario. And it was more a form of therapy and a form of just, you know, controlling her own self again, regaining her own life. That was the most important part of it. Feeling like she could be in control of herself again. Okay, we're gonna move on. And the first 3.5 stars is gonna be in Break the Pretty Kings by Lena Jong, maybe. This one is a Korean mythology inspired book, and you're focusing on the crown princess right before her ascension. I loved the magic system, the way it felt in this one, the way it was described. Could have used more world building. Could have. It also, though, did lean more younger YA. But that was not too much in a distraction. Because that means that you just didn't have the angsty relationship drama, which was awesome. That was cool. I'm okay without that. But the problems it had was her self-confidence and then her overconfidence. Her insistence that this was the way it was supposed to be. Which then is like, okay, well, because you did this and everything fell apart. Can you please pick book one or the other? So I did not like how it would go back and forth with that kind of feeling. So she is being raised up to queen as one of the youngest queens ever. And something goes wrong at this ceremony. But before then, she does gain the special magic. And this magic allows her to jump in time forward into her own body, jump forward into her future body, and see things and interact with things around her. And so she gets glimpses of the future and glimpses of what's happening. And it was very interesting in that regard, but she had to come to terms with things about that. But with this, though, it gave her, that overconfidence slightly, but then the book would backtrack into, you shouldn't, have these feelings, you should feel guilty about this, you shouldn't, think that you know what's right. You were literally about to make her the queen of your country, and yet she does not have the ability, you're saying, to make this decision. She does not have the best interests of the people at heart. I loved, though, the way that it would show, when the world building wasn't great, but when she did go to the other country bordering theirs, that they had kind of taken over, and the princess was discovering the animosity there, how the people weren't treated the same, how the people actually felt about her kingdom and her rule. And it was an eye-opening experience. And I think that was portrayed really good. And yet still it found a way almost to belittle that when it was talked about in another aspect. I don't know. It's the first book in a planned series. The magic system is cool. I think the way it set things up was interesting and heartbreaking in another aspect. So we will have to see how it plays out. Possibly I will read the next one. I'm not sure entirely. But that one I received as an ARC, so that was nice. I was glad for that one. Okay, new battery in. We're good to finish up the video. Obviously I need to wrap this up though, probably. The next 3.5 is going to be Going Rogue, number 29 in the Stephanie Plum series by Janet Ivanovich. In this one, it's still fun. It's still fun, and I did not have as much problem with the relationship-y thing between her and Joe and Ranger there. There was still a little bit, though. I'm like, come on, yeah, I'm a bit tired of that part. But in this one, someone has taken something from Vinny without Vinny even really realizing, because he's out of town. He doesn't pay attention when Stephanie calls and says, hey, something's happened. So Stephanie and Lula have to go out and try to find this, to be able to solve the thing, find the item, to get the bad people to release what they took. And they can't go to the cops, even though she kind of told Morelli, but they can't go to the cops, so that's why it's called Going Rogue, because Stephanie has to do it on her own with Ranger's help. Totally with Ranger's help. She loses another car. And Grandma. Grandma is a great integral part, of course, because it is Grandma and Morelli's Grandma Bella almost coming to blows. It's so funny. I'm sorry, it's just funny. So I enjoyed it. The relationship-y problem, I don't know if I ever said that, didn't say that, I don't know, between her, Joe, Ranger, I'm really over it. It was less in this one, at least. It was less. Okay, and the last one. The last 3.5 stars is going to be Where the Lightning Goes by Jackery Salem. This is supposed to be the first in a series as well. Unless it's going to be a series in the way that each book is going to follow somebody else. I don't really get it. I mean, I get how it could still be that character. I do. But everything that happened in this one someone's gonna have, it's gonna be like that character is a completely different character. By the end of this one, it's like, this one was kindly sent to me though by the publisher, so thank you so much for this arc. But it says, after a powerful wizard tears Elle's soul apart and steals her memories, she's locked in a house to rot. Her only remaining memory is of falling from the sky, even though that raises more questions than it answers. Yeah, and that was only like 5 years ago, so she's kind of like a teenager. And she has no memories except falling from the sky and being in this very dreary house that she wants to escape from. She has one friend there. It's implied that like she's tortured at this house and like her life is being sucked from her. I don't know. But then she's told like if she leaves, the world is full of magic and dangers, and she has no magic, so she wouldn't be able to survive. I mean, there was more to the description, but like, yeah. And so immediately when she falls into Earth though, and she survives, more questions, right? And there's so many things throughout the story there's like, wow, that's just a really weird coincidence. How is this coincidence? And then of course it ties it together. I will say that I think it's a nod to Tolkien though, that there was a female dwarf and she had a beard. So congratulations on that. I liked some of the characters, I really did. And then the way the book wrapped up, it was okay though. It was just an okay book for me. But it's a very interesting concept. Very interesting concept. And it's also a very questy story. So if you like a questy story, it's where they have a goal, they're going to a place to do a thing, and they have to do this to get to do the thing. It did it. It did it. And that was an alright part of the story. That was not a problem. Except, you know, it did kind of skip forward to, it's been a week. It's been this. It just tells us it's been this. It's been this. The one 3.25 would be Dolores Claiborne by Stephen King. This one wasn't interesting. It was all like just one long thing through the whole book, as it's this older lady who's accused of killing her employer, another old lady, and she's like, nope, I didn't do it, and I will tell you why I didn't do it, and I will tell you my whole life story so that you know I didn't do it, because I will admit to murdering my husband 40 years ago. I think it'd been 40 years at that point, and like whole details, everything. How do you remember all this stuff? I get it's a book, but seriously, it did have some points though that were disturbing, were concerning, so you might want to check some warnings. But yeah, it was definitely a more solid entry than the other one. It helped having the audiobook, because it did sound like an old lady telling it, you know. It was or was it a dude? I don't even remember who the narrator was, but I had the feeling that this was an older lady telling her life story. Gruesomeness, it was the things that didn't make sense. So there were so many things that did not exactly make sense. Like the little girl with the lipstick. And the dust bunnies. I did not make sense. At all. But okay. Did a whole vlog on the Stephen King books. And the 3 stars. Okay, I said 1, but that's only because I wasn't actually counting Verity in the notes whenever I made my tally. There's actually 2 3 stars. 1 would be the reread of Verity, which I did the review, so you could just go check that out. I did not enjoy my reread of it. Actually, the star quality went down with the reread because so many things were just worse and creepier, as it was pointed out, because I knew how the book ended. And so rereading it and seeing these things happen, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, okay, not okay. Especially with the bonus edition chapter that the library book had for it. Like I said, I did the review. You can go check that. And the other 3 star would be Different Seasons, which is a collection of 4 short stories by Stephen King. This is not a writer that I think I'm going to be reading for him unless it is one of his fantasy books. Though I do have this urge to read Under the Dome, but I think that might be like more maybe sci-fi thrillery. I don't know. I want that one. I don't know. I just don't think I like most of his stuff. Like, why do we need to bring up things so many times in books? I don't see the need. I don't see the need to bring up those appendages so much in books, and they are. Oh my God, they are so much. So yeah, real life stories that he writes. I don't think I like that style. I don't think I like the way he portrays things. I learned my lesson, and yet I still want to read Under the Dome. I don't know why. I think I need to be hit on the head. Okay, yeah, I had to double check. That was all the books that I actually got done in June. I had started another arc, but I'm still finishing that into July. And I also started another one, and I got like a chapter in, and I'm like, no. And it's just like, this is not for me. So that's what I told him. I was like, I'm not going to really review it. It's not for me. Other people might like it, but this style, it's just irritating. So yeah. But those are the only books that I got done in June. And yet, like I said, I did not write my review notes awesomely. And I feel bad for that. I don't know. I hope your June came out better than mine. Words are hard. Okay. And I hope your Julys are turning out great. So far, it's been an okay reading month for me. Yeah? Say so far it's been okay. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you're having an awesome day. And if you haven't yet, well, check out some of my other videos like this one, which I don't know which one it'll be. Maybe the new releases video I will put here. Because if you subscribe, you can come back every Monday for the new releases videos to find out what awesome books are coming out that week. Thank you guys so much again. I hope you're finding something awesome to read today, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.